Jordon Peterson, I love him. I follow him in a lot of things, but he's absolutely not right on this. Well, you take polonium, right? 1 microgram in your body, 80 kilograms, will kill you. And 1 microgram out of that 80 kilogram, we worked out to be less than 0.00000000125%. So percentage has absolutely nothing to do with anything. It simply represents a proportion without any indication of impact. And you're telling me about when you were cycling and stuff, and afterwards you have these aluminum foil things or whatever, these magical foil blankets.
Yeah, they're fantastic. When you're really, really exhausted and you've depleted the body's resources and you might finish in altitude, you're very, very cold. Aluminium foil helps you keep the body heat up, when you until you get pressed up properly. How do you mean?
Well, this whole idea that is the percentage, right? Because if that's the case, surely it needs to be at least as thick as you for it to be effective.
No, I mean they're basically they're a tiny sheet, They're about the width of your aluminium foil when you put your chicken in the oven,
That just goes to show you only need a thin layer of extra carbon dioxide in the atmosphere for you to become like a chicken being baked in an oven. And that's basically what happens. Biological life is so sensitive to it. A tiny bit more kills you too. And the thing they don't say about it is that, if you keep swimming in the sea as an adult, you don't grow gills. But if you keep doing that for hundreds and thousands of generations, you might find that your descendants will.
Yeah.
Or at least they grow blowholes like whales, right? Not gills.
Yeah, I would assume that even before that, we grow a little bit more skin between our toes and fingers, etc. But, that's a really, really long time frame before we get to those kind of changes. And I think...
And that's the problem, right? The time frame. Because what we see happening is it's happening in one generation. So we don't grow skin between our fingers. And, well, actually, you might. I'm not sure what you've been using. But
the equilibrium we find ourselves in today, and it's actually much more an economic than an ecological equilibrium, will not be able to support those kind of abrupt changes. There is just no way our economic structure will come through unscathed in that kind of scenario.
When you read about Panama Canal, the Japanese shipping company that paid $4 million for one transit when the normal price is $200,000. In the summer, it went to 2.4, now it's 4. It's basically shut it off. That's 3% of global sea transport, 80% of transport goes through sea. And what that means is, the shipping company is still going to make money, just going to put the price up. It's going to be you the one paying for it.
Yeah. And it might take a few layers through producers and wholesalers and whoever is involved, importers. But at the end of the day, everyone in that chain need to compensate themselves for those kind of price increases and disruptions. And if the disruptions are really, really bad enough and the ship really cannot transit at all, it might even drive some of those people in that chain out of business completely. Yeah, at least the vast majority of that price increase is totally driven by climate change, but it's not seen as such because it's seen as someone else's fault. We haven't kept up our maintenance, and that's why we cannot keep the water off our streets, and it clogs up traffic lanes and tunnels, etc. And because we have bad politicians who haven't taken the right decisions, we're getting hit. It's always someone else to blame, but
honestly, I mean, that is right. I mean, we've spent the past 2 years working with young people in East Africa, where we've gone completely the opposite direction from our 30 years working with kind of big money, making money for pensions, endowments, sovereign wealth funds. We've seen right across the spectrum. The one thing that's really pretty much common right across the spectrum is people rather like to blame it on someone else, rather than saying that it's climate change that's eroding all of this. So you have the problem in the UK about Rishi Sunak, and you have kind of people blaming Biden or Xi Jinping or Putin. And, we even blame it on the bloke around the corner who just has too much flatulence from eating too many beans. But the problem really is you're the one who's going to pay for it. Your costs are going up, your insurance is going up. My friend's daughter, I think her insurance is going up by something like $18 a month. And then you got Louisiana state, insurance of last resort, is raising its home premium by 63%. Think of that. I mean, what are you going to do if your home insurance goes up by 63%?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more uninsured homes, is my guess.
They believe tomorrow is going to be the same as today. When the storm's over, it's going to be fine. They don't believe that once you start stirring the paint, it's not going to come back. And there are just a zillion more ways for it to go pear-shaped than for it to go right.
It truly is a totally asymmetrical outcome.
One of those things, when has it ever happened that things have gone right, as opposed to gone pear-shaped for you? It's just how it is.
It happens.
Only for you, mate. Brings us to the end of what we want to talk about, which is that climate change is real. Because ultimately, it is our collective spending that is driving it all. And so over the 12 days of COP28, we want you to redirect your spending to those you think are making the world better. That's who you buy your tomatoes from, basically. So sign up to It's For You. It's at bit.ly/sign up to number 2, it's ITS, number 4, and the letter U. It's a bit of a mouthful. So, okay. Richard, last words?
Well, ultimately, it's the compounding of all our individual decisions that decides the trajectory of the planet and its economy. So you are actually in power and in charge of what happens. And I don't think many people really think of it that way, but it's true.